pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Julie?
Emily Sanders.
Here.
Sarah Freilich.
Here.
James Ford.
Here.
Laura Cardosi.
Here.
Steve Elkins.
Here.
We have minutes for December 8th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Julie, I'm so happy to report I have only one tiny item. That is, I think I do.
It's a Christmas
Wait a
meeting.
minute, sure. I think page 4, and this is, you're just gonna laugh at what it is. Yeah, under C, where the second line where it states, "Some Mother Nature gave us a little taste of winter." I think bit is supposed to be big.
I had one thing. Do you want a dollar sign in front of that 10,500 on the first page?
I can.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a dollar sign in front of the 78.5, so.
Anybody else?
All right, take it.
Okay, Ms. Sayers?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
Before we get started on our audit, I just give a little city update for the first of the year. I'll start off with our financials, and I think our auditor here is going to present and find it to be in pretty good shape. We have a good reserve. Our investments are making extra money for our budget in the tune of about $70,000 per year. I think last year it made actually a little bit more than that. We have no long-term debt, and our city is the healthiest position that it's been in 15 years. Don't forget that our financials are on our website, and it shows a monthly status that Julie publishes our financials every month. And like a lot of other cities have yearly posts, we have monthly, so you can look at those and just compare. This is a lot, I'm sorry, our 2025 is far better shape than 2010, where we were in a negative zone. We have graphs online as well for a quick yearly comparison. As for legal fees being spent with taxpayers' money, I think that the sound is picked up over there, so if we could keep it down. So as for legal fees being spent with taxpayers' money, the monies that are spent to protect the city, the Board of Adjustments, council, mayor, and employees, or the budget line is $20,000 and $10,000 for litigation. And in the past, before I was mayor, our budget lines for legal was between $60,000 and $120,000. So I do believe $20,000 for our budget is a whole lot better than that. And you can check our website for that as well. There's a lot of talk of spending too much on our police department, where we purchased a building, it's 1,200 square feet, space on Dixie Highway. They have an evidence room, kitchen, interview room, along with shower and their restroom, which we've never had before. They came out of 400 square feet. This was vetted over 6 months. Council thought it was a good move for the police department. The value was appraised at $305,000. Purchase price for the purchase price was $300,000, so it was $5,000 under, with $100,000 estimated that was put into the building. And again, this is far less than $1.5 million to $6.5 million that other cities have built or bought a place for their cities. And at this time, that building still has $18,000 yearly income on a lease that we inherited with the building. And until they move, we'll be making that income. Every year it goes up 5%. At that time, when their lease is up, the plan is to move our administrative offices there And this building downstairs in Julie's office now could be opened up and have room for 70 people to meet. And this could be a really nice meeting space that, on the first floor, which we've been trying to accomplish for a long time. The Amsterdam Road Grant project is still in the move. It's very slow, but we've spent a lot of meetings, and now we're having a meeting this week on right-of-way to get the plans finalized. Utilities are going in this coming spring. Coordination is being done all across all the utility companies. We'll update on any moves that go forward. And then the grant, that whenever you involve grants, a lot of departments are involved, so that causes it to move pretty slow. Then we have discussion of the Szechuan Gardens is still up in the air, and there is really no development agreement. It's been talked about, why didn't we answer questions on that? It's because there wasn't a development agreement yet, and that stage is not even to that square one because of the zoning. When things get talked about on social media, sometimes they don't have the whole story. They have half a story, so they get confusing to many, and it is really a bad look for our city and discrediting for those who don't really know what's going on. And I think you could contact Julie or I. We answer a lot of emails and phone calls and answer questions all the time. Our website is being updated at this time. It'll have fillable forms, for easy access with your phone. It's been in the works for several months, but I am guaranteed that it's about to be done and completed, so we can put that out. The word transparency is something I hear all the time, and I know we have our website, financials, news updates, all these things are on our website. TBNK does all our meetings, and they're streamed. Sometimes our site doesn't take you to the meeting, but you can always go on TBNK to find it. I'm confident that we can all keep up with what's going on with the city if you go to our website, or you want to call Julie or I anytime. And please note, these things that are ongoing in the city would be posted on there unless they're strictly for the mayor and council to know about. So some things are not for public discussion, but anything that would be online for your viewing. And now we have our presentation for our audit. Thank you, John.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. My name is John Chamberlain. I'm a CPA and partner at Chamberlain Owen & Company, and we're a CPA firm in Erlanger that specializes in audits of governmental entities. And we appreciate the opportunity to do the work for the city of Park Hills. I had to start off by thanking Julie and Amanda at Bremlin Ackley. Julie takes really good care of our staff and provides us with everything that we need. And again, I like to say this in public, that we're pretty annoying. We ask for a lot of stuff. But she does take care of us, and Bremlin Ackley have done a nice job closing your books for the end of the year, and that's very helpful to us. That means we don't have to do that and violate our independent standards, so that's good. We don't want to do that. You have should have a slide presentation there in front of you from us, so I encourage you to go to that, and I'm going to kind of step you through that. Julie was wanting me to read the entire set of financial statements, like all 40 pages, word for word.
Every year I ask you to do that.
She asked me to do that every year, and every year I turn her down. So let's just go through the slides and kind of hit the highlights. Our audit opinion, we've given what's called an unmodified opinion, meaning that no modifications are required to the opinion, and that means that after we've done all of our audit procedures, we believe that your financial statements present fairly in all material respects the city of Park Hills at June 30th, 2025. And that's the highest opinion that we give. As a part of every governmental audit, we do a review of internal controls. We want to ensure that you have appropriate segregation of duties for your riskiest assets. And so things like your cash assets, your receivables, your expenditures that go out the door, and your financial reporting. And so we want to make sure that those are all appropriately segregated. And for a small city, you do a nice job segregating those risky items. And so we had no significant deficiencies or what we call material weaknesses in internal control to report. As a part of every governmental audit, we also review compliance issues. So we want to make sure that you comply with CERS contributions, comply with your internal, comply with any, comply with any, for two, okay, comply with any KRS, your long-term debt, anything like that. And we had no issues of non-compliance to report as well. I'm like a squirrel, I'm getting distracted. I did provide a governance letter to management, and there was only one audit adjustment, and that's an adjustment that we make annually to your government-wide financial statements, so not to your funds as you see them. And that was just to gross up your net pension and OPEB value by about almost $225,000 net. And so I'll show you how that works here in a minute, but there were no other audit adjustments. And that again goes to the quality of the work that Amanda does from Bramble and Ackley. So we appreciate that again. And then there are no management comments this year, so we didn't have management comments to give. Again, the comments that we've given in the past, you've addressed and done a really good job addressing those comments. So we appreciate that. Next slide is your cash position. Unrestricted and uncommitted cash increased from about 2.9 million last year to 3.34 million in 2025. So almost a $400,000 increase in unrestricted and uncommitted cash. The Government Finance Officers Association has a rule of thumb that you want to keep somewhere between 3 and 6 months of operating expenditures on hand in cash. And so for the City of Park Hills, that would be roughly $826,000. That would cover about 3 months worth of operating expenditures. You have about $3.34 million of unrestricted cash. So you have over 12 months of unrestricted cash on hand. You also have about $103,000 in restricted cash for roads, road tax and municipal road aid, $43,000 restricted for the fire department, and $38,000 in internally committed tree board and capital improvement fund cash. The next slide shows your liabilities over the last 5 years. Your current liabilities right at about $34,000. Those are your current accounts payables at June 30th again. Long-term debt is $63,000. That's actually the compensated absences due to employees, so we include that as long-term debt. The city has no other long-term debt. You paid off your capital lease in fiscal year 2025. And then the orange bar, the big one, is the net CERS pension and OPEB liabilities. And you see there $1.1 million compared to $1.4 million last year. And that's the change that I was talking about earlier. Just as a reminder, those are measured at June 30th, 2024. So they're a year behind in their measurement. And just like any
That's a whole state. I'd like everyone to know that.
yeah, absolutely not. Yeah,
Entire state.
I'll touch that. You're a member of the County Employee Retirement System, and so every city, every governmental entity in Kentucky that's special districts and things like that are part of the Kentucky the County Employee Retirement System. And it's not the state's retirement system that you hear so much about, the KERS. It's the CERS. And it's actually in a pretty good position, and the position's improving. But there's about 1,100 members of the CERS, something like that, of non-hazardous members, and 300 or 400 hazardous members. So it's a lot of different organizations. So you're a part of that. And this liability is your representative portion of that entire liability based on your contributions. So it's a proportionate share based on contributions. And so, like any retirement plan, it has a portfolio, and that portfolio is really based on the market, its market value. And as the market increases, or as the market's buoyant up, the liability, the pension and OPEB liabilities decrease. So we've seen that in the last 3 years at least, or maybe even 4 years, where the market has been high at June 30th. And so we see our pension liabilities, NOPEB liabilities, continuing to drop the last 3 years. June 30th, 2025, the market was high as well, and in very solid position. And so we expect 2026 to decrease again. So next year, when we're standing up here, hopefully we'll say that again. I was right last year. So. Next slide shows revenues versus expenditures for all funds. The green line are your total revenues, right at $4.045 million compared to $4.11 million in the prior year. The red line is your expenditures of $3.35 million compared to $3.24 million in the prior year. And so the bracket there between those of $686,000 is basically the net income, or the change in net position, or the change in fund balance actually for the city. The blue line down below, I just removed capital expenditures and any debt service to kind of show you that blue line, and that's where your expenditures would be without capital expenditures. So just which that really shows you more what your operating expenditures are. So there's a significant delta between your revenue coming in the door and your operating expenditures. The next slide is total revenues, all governmental funds. So you see total revenues again right at $4.045 million, about a 1.7% decrease from the prior year. Taxes, all tax revenues combined, about 8.9% increase. Real estate tax up about 8%. Again, that's not because of any property tax increase. That's increase in valuations and increase in any new homes being built or anything like that in the city. Local government insurance premium tax up about 18%, so values of your properties are increasing. And then insured values, I should say, of your properties are increasing. And then payroll tax up about 10%. Intergovernmental revenue decreased about $213,000, and that's simply you expended ARPA funds last year, and not as much this year. And so that was really the change in that, and that's what caused the total revenue to decrease. So about $213,000 down in those intergovernmental funds. Other revenues down about $168,000. Last year you had a $242,000 St. Joseph Lane sidewalk grant that contributed to that revenue being higher last year. Charges for services up about $7,000, and then interest income, as Kathy said earlier, down about $5,000 last year to slightly lower interest rates in the bank than you had in the prior year. The last slide is total expenditures, $3.358 million, about a 3.6% increase compared to last year. The police expenditures right at $1 million, about a 20% increase over 2024. Contracted services of $524,000, capital outlay of $334,000, and you had done some significant capital outlay this year with purchases of vehicles in the Amsterdam project, which you continue to work on. Public works decreased. You had a lot of non-capitalized road maintenance last year, so about $270,000 last year. And that decreased this year to about $95,000. And that's the end of my presentation. Again, I think it's called an unmodified opinion. So it's a clean opinion and no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control, no issues of noncompliance. Basically a nice clean audit, and that's the way we like it as auditors. So any questions that I can answer?
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. And
Thanks, John.
I really like the graphs that you provide, and we will put all of this on our website so that you can view them in detail, but I think they're very helpful. They give a good snapshot of what's going on. Thank you.
It's nice to, I actually can expand those, back 10 or 12 years or something like that, because I just hide those columns every year, and it's been nice to go back and look at those every once in a while.
No, it is.
And
It's a really good
see where you
comparison.
were.
Yeah, it is. It's a very
It is.
good comparison, and I encourage everybody who takes the time to go to our website to make that comparison because it's dramatic. It's dramatically positive.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Amanda Peters.
I've never gotten applause, never gotten applause. It's over.
That is, that's incredible.
We have Amanda Peters to give us some answers on the MOU we're going to be talking about shortly.
Definitely a little shorter here. Here we go. Hi, thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Amanda Peters, and I serve as the director for the Northern Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy. This was an office formed in 2015 between Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties. So I essentially work for the 3 judges executives, and tonight I'm here on behalf of Judge Knockelman and Kenton County Fiscal Court. So what we're proposing from the county is we're asking all municipalities in Kenton County that is not having their own police social worker or law enforcement navigator to join in with the county efforts. So this initiative is being funded by opioid settlement dollars. So there's been many lawsuits throughout the last couple of years, and that's going through municipalities in the state and the county. And so Park Hills did not receive any funds that would have been eligible to you all with such a low threshold. They rolled up to Kenton County anyways. So I'm just here asking for you all to pass the interlocal, and this will allow a law enforcement navigator to work with your police department to serve your citizens. So, yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
No, go ahead, it might be easier.
I was just gonna ask if you could explain what a law enforcement navigator does exactly.
Sure. So there's a few different terms. Each county has named them something different. Campbell County calls them police social workers. Boone County calls them police navigators, and Kenton County has chosen law enforcement navigators. So what this is a position that acts as a tool for law enforcement. And so a lot of times law enforcement come across folks that have social issues. I know what we're seeing on dispatch is a good portion of them have to do with mental health, crisis, domestic violence, substance use overdose. So these law enforcement navigators will be able to respond to those issues. This is not a first responder, it's a second responder, and so the police, of course, would respond, and then the next day there could be referrals. The police will review the CAD report, the dispatch, to see what's going on, but then also any citizen can make a referral. Schools, community leaders, government, citizens. I have a booklet that I was having printing issues, but I'll get those down to you. But there is an email address that anyone can apply to email. It'll go directly to the law enforcement navigators, and they can partner with different things. They respond to elder abuse, veterans issues, employment issues where folks may be having some different code enforcement things happening, and so they can partner with police and help those folks get the resources they need.
Thank you.
How many LENs does Kenton County employ?
There's 4 right now, but one of those is strictly for Covington. They had enough funds to hire their own, but through the county. And so it just made it easier for supervision, and then of course Kenton County takes all the liability.
So those 3 would service all the cities?
Yes, and so we do have one that would be, I don't want to say assigned, because they all can work, but they all have holidays and vacation, but there'll be one that will partner and work with you, hopefully have a face to a name, but all will be able to respond as necessary.
Are they available on a 24-hour basis, or?
If needed. What we found is that's not quite needed.
Okay.
If there's a cabinet issue, if there's a child involved, we don't want police sitting there for hours if there's an issue, so they can come out, sit with the child, get with the cabinet until placement or pickup can be arranged. We've seen issues where maybe there's a house fire or some kind of emergency. They would come on site and triage, but most of the things happen usually the day after. I can tell you a success story that we've had just in the last couple of weeks. It was in Taylorville. Individual family member was calling 911 quite a bit. Some alcohol misuse in the house led to disturbances, some fighting. They were able to go out, calm the person down, make the referral. The law enforcement navigator went out the next day, was able to talk to them, arrange a mobile assessment that day, and moved him into treatment. And so he spent 3 weeks into treatment, and so he's still there as of right now, and so hopefully he'll be on his road to recovery and less calls to 911, less taxpayer burden, and maybe we can get some people healthy at the same time. That's the goal.
I don't know how this works, so I guess the money is sustainable, it's going to be invested.
So what's
in-
happening right now is we've asked all the other cities to combine. So Independence has their own in Kenton County, Erlanger has their own. And so all other cities are on board at this point. We don't have Bromley signed, but I'm optimistic. I go there on Wednesday. And then at that time, I'll visit Fort Wright and see if they're interested. They've been yet to sign on. So if all the cities sign on that do have funds, they have about $85,000. One of these positions costs about $125,000, and the county has pledged to pick up the rest of it. So that's for the first 2 years. So what we've asked is for 2 years as a pilot to evaluate, get the data. There's certain data that we must track and send down to the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Commission. But other than that, we'll reevaluate. But I can tell you what's happening around the state and the nation. This is a big trend. And in Northern Kentucky, we'll have 17 of these like positions between the QRT officer and police social workers, and that is more than the rest of the state combined. And we really think this is going to do a lot for diversion and deflection. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering if you have like an expected response time or reporting that we might be able to review or see?
We'll do quarterly reports. We're still kind of working those out. They'll be partnering with a system called DART that's being built for the county, but it's going to have those metrics. And so what we're asking is, of course, Chief Stanley to work with Chief Jones on any metrics that you may want that's not already in those reports. So I know Captain Chris Petaluga is the official supervisor working on reporting with me, and so we're working those reports out. We've started with the law enforcement navigators probably about 2 months ago, and they started seeing clients about a month ago. So we're hoping to have a report out very soon. And there'll also be an annual report. Most of the cities do have to report to the Opioid Abatement Commission. You guys won't have that requirement, but there'll be an annual report. And anything that we pass on to the other cities, of course, we send that to you all. We're working on with Kenton County Dispatch to do some targeted reporting, because as we know, in Kenton County, some of the zip codes cover different municipalities. And so if it covers Fort Wright or Park Hills and Covington, those are different things. So we're going to target to some cities and neighborhoods. So Dispatch will be able to code those reports, especially. It's in the works. We're moving very quickly. It's a pilot program, but things are happening and lining up for us.
Can I ask one more question?
Please do.
Just about data, my favorite topic with the
That's
chief.
great.
And I'm just wondering, will there be some sort of coordination or collaboration to like look at what our statistics are?
Absolutely. So I know with the police chief meetings, there'll be some information coming from there. Those guys are already meeting to talk about some of that data, of what would be a good benchmark. But right now we're targeting dispatch calls and those social calls. What we see in a lot of these calls that maybe socially oriented, they're not quite criminogenic behavior, but they're leading to crime. So we're targeting those different data. It's very important to the county. It's definitely important to me. And when folks say, are we making a difference? I know we are, but we've got to have the data to back it. Does that answer your question?
It does,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Chief Stanley, do you have any comments do you recommend this course?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
Okay.
we've met with her and
Great.
learned about it, so that's why we wanted to bring it on, so. Okay, well, we have you on the agenda tonight, so
Great.
thank you very much.
If you have
Thank
any
you.
questions, let me know. I am going to sneak out. I got a couple kids to get to ball practice.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Denbo's here to answer any questions on our ordinance 9 that we're bringing up now. Mr. Bond?
I have a question. Sure. I know last time you were here, I asked you if it was necessary for me to go through the ordinance and do all the cross-outs and changes. It appears you've already done that for us, which is great. But in reading it over, I just want to be sure that, because you've taken out almost everything that's in there and added new language, which is fine. But is there still a procedure or guideline in the ordinance with how a map amendment or a development plan still comes to you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that's just the one section, and I guess for the record, I'm Patrick Denbo, PDS staff. But yeah, so what you have is just that one particular section that had the 21-day rule. There's much more to the map amendment section that isn't going to be changing if you make that change to the 90 days.
I just want to be sure it was in there because it looked like you were redlining and taking it out completely. The wording changing, that's fine. I think that's what council was looking at. So So, okay, well, as long as council is satisfied that the procedure's still effective, that's good.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is about sort of our process tonight, because, first of all, I want to thank you so much, Anna Mayor, because I know that we had a lot of conversation today about how this is going to work tonight. And I just want to make sure that I understand, that we all understand how this approval works, because tonight we're, hoping to vote. And, I was hoping to see the 21-day change, like, in the document. And I guess what I'm curious about is it required that we pass, or that we review as part of our vote tonight, or as part of this ordinance, that it is exactly what the planning commission approved? Is that part of the reason why it's not being changed?
So the version of the text that we give to you is the recommendation from the planning commission. So we can't really alter that until an action has been taken. So if city council does take an action that includes taking out the 21-day rule and putting in the 90-day includes normal process for a map amendment, at that point, we would make that change once the ordinance is published after that approval.
Okay. And so a follow-up question to that would be, do we need to, when we go about making our motion tonight, do we need to include that language to change to back to the 90-day? Or is it something that we would do after approving the recommendation from the planning commission?
So I would also defer to legal counsel to help with that question, but from my understanding, it would be as part of the motion to accept.
Okay.
It would be including essentially a condition that section be changed from the 21-day rule to the 90-day rule.
Okay, that's helpful. And I know there's another sort of part that we talked about last time, which is the manufactured homes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to cover that as well, or is that something that's going to be just coming through?
Right, that'll come whenever city council takes action on that particular text amendment, then we'll make that change, just the same process.
Okay.
I think Andy sent that out and it was a different date on it for the state.
It has, yeah, right, so that has to be, action needs to be taken on the qualified manufactured homes before July 1st. July 1st is the deadline.
Okay, so, do you want to read ordinance one? We need a first and a second on ordinance one.
That would be it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, did you want to read?
Oh, didn't put you in the
No,
questions.
no.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, accepting and approving the recommendation of the Kenton County Planning Commission and adopting a new official zoning code and zoning map for the city in accordance therewith, and repealing the current and existing official zoning code of the city as a result thereof.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Do we want to qualify that motion with the language that Patrick was suggesting relative to the 90-day? So maybe link the motion to this handout, which is section 13.04D, number 1, that the language provided for that section will be changed to this when it's legally permissible.
Exhibit A, or?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily an exhibit, but I think if you just reference this, the language provided nicely by Mr. Dembo to this section, that this change will be made after the adoption of the C-21.
Are you making a motion to amend?
Well,
The
I
original
think Emily made the motion, and I can make a motion to amend, so I will make a motion to amend. To include the language provided by Mr. Dembo pertaining to section 13.04, map amendments, subsection D, section 1. If you would like, I can read the language. Does anybody need the language for it? But for the benefit of those who aren't looking at it, it changes the time for the map amendment from 21 days with an automatic kick-in to 90. So it returns to our original policy,
I make a second to that amendment.
okay?
And Sarah, you seconded Pam's, okay.
Yes.
And then to both, Ms. Sayers,
Yes.
Ms. Froelich, Ms.
Yes.
Spore,
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi,
Yes.
and Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
And if I might just add a comment here that, and I think Mr. Dembo would agree with this, I know Mr. Weiss does. The zoning code is intended to be flexible. It is not something that is static. It responds to the needs of the community, the needs of the state, as in the case of the amendment we're facing. So I just want everybody to be prepared for that. We spent, 6 years or whatever getting to this point, but this will not be a static document. There'll be changes, and those shouldn't be scary. Those are things we talk about. I think that the change that we just made relative to the map amendment was what was agreed to by the committee in our process of reviewing this.
Well, and then before July, we'll also be adding.
Well, we better be, or we won't have a zoning code, because it's a very harsh penalty imposed by the state. If you don't adopt their required amendment, they tank your whole zoning code. So, sort of an unusual penalty. But- Okay?
Municipal order number 1.
Wait a minute. So this now gives you authorization to make the changes, correct, in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay, well then will you recirculate another copy to council for review?
Right, so once the ordinance as it was approved is published, then we can make, signed and then published, then we can make the changes and it'll go live on the website.
Well, you're gonna have a big party.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Patrick.
In order the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into and execute an interlocal agreement, multi-jurisdictional law enforcement dedicated program using opioid abatement funds.
Do you need a motion for that?
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Sayers,
Yes.
Ms. Froelich,
Yes.
Ms. Spore,
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
I need to go. Unfortunately, I've got a funeral
Oh, I'm
visitation
sorry.
service to attend.
Sorry, Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
Thanks for being here for
Sure.
We'll have municipal order number 2.
A municipal order of the City Council of the City of Park Hills, Kentucky confirming the mayor's reappointment of a representative to the County Code Enforcement Board.
I'll make a motion.
For Mr. Gray.
Ms. Sayers,
Yes.
Ms. Froelich,
Yes.
Ms. Spore,
Yes.
Ms. Cardosi.
Yes.
And if I might just say thank you to Mr. Gray, who has been serving the city so long and so faithfully, without any compensation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Feedback. That sounds awful.
We have one petitioner and Jim Fowler.
Hello, again. My name's Jim Fowler. I'm a Park Hills resident at 829 Aberdeen Road since 1992. The following is a follow-up to discussions I've had with the mayor, council members, and residents regarding City of Park Hills owned green space. The council has the ability to conserve green space that the City of Park Hills owns. As we've just talked about with the Z21, there'll be 90 days to review those types of processes. This council The following is a petition I intend to publicly share on social media and door to door, but first I wanted to share it with you today. Next month, I'd like to share the results that I've accumulated over the month. So the city of Park Hills purchased property at 1502 Dixie Highway. 1500 has the police station, 1502 is green space behind it. That was purchased in 2023. At the time, Mayor Zimbrot publicly stated that the city would, quote, not take away the greenery and the tree line near our property, and that we want it to be natural green area, unquote. Recently, the city has advanced an approach that would instead develop this space into multifamily housing. This represents a significant departure from the assurances made at the time the property was acquired. Park Hills currently owns very little publicly accessible green space. Aside from Trolley Park, the trolley line, Audubon Forest, most city-owned natural areas have over time been sold, transferred, or otherwise lost, including parcels containing wetlands, ponds, and large wooded areas. As a result, opportunities to preserve remaining green space within the city limits are extremely limited. For these reasons, we respectfully petition the mayor and city council to conserve the city-owned property at 1502 Dixie Highway as a permanent green space, consistent with prior representations and in the long-term interest of the community. So we, the undersigned residents of Park Hills, Kentucky, seek to conserve and protect the few remaining green spaces within the city of Park Hills in their present and natural state. These spaces are vital to the character, environmental health, and historical integrity of the community. We seek to protect indigenous flora, spring ephemerals, wildlife, natural terrain, and the historical landscape that remains in these areas. Given the limited amount of publicly owned green space left in Park Hills, preservation of what remains is both necessary and urgent. We further seek to conserve these remaining green spaces from future development, sale, transfer, or any use by the city of Park Hills that is inconsistent with permanent green space preservation now and for future generations. The city-owned property currently most at risk is located at 1502 Dixie Highway. The property is owned by the city of Park Hills. We respectfully petition the mayor and city council to conserve this property as protected green space and to preserve it in its natural state for the benefit of the current residents and generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want you to know that we didn't know this either after the purchase. 1500 is actually the rear because there was a house there, and 1502 is the police department. So it says 1500.
I think on the zoning map, it says 1500 on the street, 1502 behind.
And the post office says different, so, okay, well,
We'll figure that out.
So
it's the green
out.
space I want to protect, not
Yeah.
the police station, but we want to protect that too. That's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Police department, chief.
Everybody have an opportunity to read my report?
Yes.
I want to point out, you saw when we did the Christmas donation? No. I want to again point out that two businesses donated that, more so. If I can find the names again real quick. Brooks Flooring, $500, and Maston Construction, $250. The rest were all just anonymous donations. And that wasn't just Park Hills, Bromley also, we also did something with Bromley also. So two families, one from each city, was a beneficiary of our donations.
Well, I think it's a great
That's really
idea.
good. Yeah.
It worked out really well. Any questions about my report before I proceed in particular?
Can you give me those numbers again? Brooks Flooring was how much?
500,
And then Mass?
MASTIN, construction was 250.
Thank you. We also had a resident donate 250.
I didn't see that. That wasn't provided to me by Sergeant Bradford, so sorry if I missed that out.
That's all right. It was in that magazine thing.
I think you answered one of my questions, which was, I was just wondering how the families were selected and if they were from Park Hills or.
One was from Park Hills and one was from Bromley. So Sergeant Bradford and Jimmy Isaacs, our newest hire, they were the motivators for this, and along with Officer Little, they worked hard on it. I think it was Officer Little, didn't you and Isaacs take them shopping, or did you just bring them the presents?
We brought them the presents. The family in Bromley, they were selected, pretty sure through the school that they attended. They had reached out to the teachers and then they had gotten in contact with us. I'm not for sure about the Park Hills family or who chose that or how they chose that one. So.
My officers were instrumental in this program, and they're the ones that actually ran it, and they just gave me all the information afterwards. But they're the ones that get all the credit for implementing this and moving forward with it.
Yeah, did love the comment.
Thank you. Thanks for your.
Any questions for
Well,
Chief?
I guess something else.
Huh?
Y'all saw did you see the packet about the proposed part-time officer?
No.
I thought I put that in there. I didn't give that to you. Son of a gun, I'll have to send that out to you then tomorrow. So basically, I'm gonna ask for a part-time officer. I got a nice printout of it. I'll send it out to everybody. I went to a class last month, I'm sorry, KLC. They're the ones that put forward, the Department of Criminal Justice Training, I'm sorry. They put forward, and they're really pushing, trying to eliminate overtime as much as possible. And that is something I would like to propose to City Council by reducing our overtime budget and using a part-time officer in its place. That would reduce the amount of strain on my officers having to cover multiple shifts. Because right now I really don't want to get too much into it till you read the packet, but right now we're at a minimum, so we only have 2 officers per shift. Technically, most departments have 3. So, but I will get this out. That was my fault.
And I
didn't
presume
give it
in
to
the
you.
packet you have the
We'll have all-
financial
yes.
breakdown of that.
I thought you were gonna do that and I didn't see it and I thought, well,
I thought I did it too, so that was my error. So we'd be a month behind now.
At our last meeting, we talked about speeding on Cleveland, and you said, well, see if you can get me a place where my officers can perch. 1109 Cleveland. Mrs. Collins said she has a double wide driveway, said you're welcome to use her driveway for that purpose.
Let the other ones know about that too, please, Chelsea. She'll be motivated.
Yeah, I'll send you an email so the address is clear.
All right, well, screw the pooch on that.
Should be motivated.
I have a question also about the warnings and citations. And I was just wondering, I don't know if there's already like a pattern to this, sorry, I feel like I have to turn and look at you and look away. But I was just, for snow emergencies and for parking the wrong way, which seem to be like the 2 main reasons for warnings and sometimes citations. I was curious if there's a pattern for that. Do we give a warning first and then have a citation next?
So the way we used to do the snow emergencies, they're posted everywhere. Dan does a good job of making sure that everybody understands you're not supposed to park on the street during a snow emergency. So what we used to do, we didn't do it this time, but we're gonna do it from now on, we're gonna get back to the other practice, is we'd run the license plate, we'd knock on the doors, we'd ask them to move, all right? If we couldn't get them to move, because we were not able to make contact, we usually just towed the vehicle to eliminate any problems. Now, if city council doesn't really want us to tow the vehicles, that's up to you. I'm willing to accept your guidance, because that is something, we like to give warnings on a lot of things, that's why you see a lot of warnings. We hate to take drastic measures like that, but sometimes it's inevitable and it's something we have to do. If city council is okay, because I know I've received a lot of complaints on the last snow emergency, there's a lot of vehicles still parked in the street.
But it was kind of a surprise snow, and I think you mean the one that we didn't get the notice till early in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a surprise thing for
And we
people.
can
I mean,
be-
I'm all for people not parking on the street, period, but I got,
Yeah,
that was a bit of a
Yeah, we
surprise.
talked about another place for people to go, is that what you're about ready to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no, no.
Like, coming in Catholics parking lots since they don't have school.
And that's
or
all been
garbage.
arranged, right? We have that.
So one of the reasons I'm willing to accept guidance from city council on this is you're gonna get a lot of grief if we start towing cars. And sometimes I know from past that some of the city council members didn't like having to deal with that, or was trying to find an alternative way to deal with it. It's totally up to you, you know,
And people can park in their yard too, if
Yeah,
they
we-
need to.
we, you know, that's a violation, but we ignore that in circumstances like this.
Right.
Towing is
Snow.
expensive, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's $200 or $300.
Yeah.
That's
so,
the
I
problem, is
mean,
why
that-
we don't like to
That
do
doesn't
it,
seem like
but.
unless somebody's a repeat offender, it doesn't seem like a desirable.
But the problem is, the reason I'm suggesting towing again is I've received a lot of complaints from residents and such that there were cars on the street and was blocking, you know, why they're on the street during the snow emergency. So, you know, you can look into that. It's however you all feel about it, because you will get a lot of communications if we start towing
I'd like to
cars.
hear from Mr. Von Handorf too, because he's the guy plowing, and I'd like your input.
It's
if you
actually,
don't mind.
he and Chief Rigney are the two people that I worry the most about
Exactly,
as far
so
as a snow
if you
emergency
gentlemen
goes.
could offer an opinion, I think that'd be helpful.
Would you like me to speak on that right now?
Well, if you could. Because I mean, you're the guy out there doing it, and
It's, you know, there's a reference to one car in the whole city versus all the other ones parked on the street. And the one that I'm referring to is up on Audubon. It's just past that driveway. You know, you gotta swing wide left to get past it and try to come back around it. And we're supposed to be, I'm gonna be putting some no parking between signs up there. As soon as I get them in stock, I'll get them installed.
Are those gonna be permanent?
Yes, and then
Make
as
sure you
weather
let me know
permits.
about that.
What's that?
Make sure you let us know about that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll need to change that on the ordinance, correct?
I don't know how it reads now, but we should do that, yes.
absolutely.
I'll hold up until I'm instructed
Well, I
further.
think we have signs as well, so I was gonna talk to you about that. so.
Yeah, I have to check the inventory. I don't know if I have those in between signs that we're talking about. But,
Dan, like, how much does it slow you down or impair your ability to clear the streets when cars are parked on it?
That one, quite a bit. Almost any other cars on the street, I mean, you go around them and you think, man, I wish a car wasn't there, or, you know, it'd be nice if it wasn't. And the worst thing of it is the people who are probably the violator are punishing the person who's abiding by it. So they park their car on the street, and the person who parked the car in their driveway has to, either they try to negotiate getting in that extra snow, you know, or shovel something. Or the next day, people are like, well, I got my car out of the way, can you come get snow? Like, no, it was a snow emergency and the car was supposed to be off the street.
Exactly.
And it's just one of those,
Because they get, if it's a lot of snow, they get plowed in.
well, then that's,
They do,
then they wanna
yeah.
come after me. It's like, oh, you buried my car. It's like, you know,
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
well, I mean, the thing of it is, it's not just in Park Hills, it's worldwide. Anybody who has snow, the snow plow is designed to push the snow off to the side. Now, if you have the luxury of a snow blower, and you can blow it someplace, but then you get grief for it. You put it in your yard, or you buried your car, blah, blah, blah. It's Mother Nature, we just gotta deal with it, you know, plain and simple. But as far as getting cars towed, I don't want anybody to have their car towed.
Yeah, I'm not.
But a
I'm
good
against
ticket
that.
to say, hey, help us out,
And I
or
think
a
that-
warning, something like that.
Doesn't that say in the ordinance also, though, that snow emergency cars will be removed? It is, we need to change that if that's not what you want to do.
Well, there's actually one sitting over on Lower Jackson now, it's been sitting there for, I know, a good month
It's
and a
got
half.
something on it too.
It's got an orange, green sticker
Yeah,
on
green
it
sticker on it.
since, December the 19th,
Yeah, I walked
with a
that
flat
couple
tire,
times
so
ago.
it hasn't moved. So,
What does the green sticker mean? You're telling
Get
me?
ready to tow it?
Well, Chief,
I gave
do we
Officer
know-
Little cookies to do it.
Do you know what's going on with that vehicle? I mean, is somebody?
I do, I put that on there.
Okay, Chelsea, okay,
Um,
officer.
It had expired registration, for now at this point, 3 years. I put the warning in hopes that they would. 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, that's a while.
Yeah, and I put the warning because I try to be courteous with people, but they've not yet addressed it. And then I did swing by, and yeah, they still haven't addressed it, but it goes back to what you guys were kind of discussing about, I don't like to tow the vehicles, but, you know, I try to give people a little bit of leeway with it.
Well, I think that the option to tow
Yeah.
has to remain part of our process, because not every situation is the same.
No.
Correct, and they're all different.
Can't
With-
say not to cars at all, I agree.
Right, and I think the option to do that needs to remain even with respect to snow, because if a vehicle is parked in such a way that the plow literally can't get through,
Well, them cul-de-sacs.
and the rest of the
also.
street can't be plowed, that vehicle
Yeah.
needs to be removed. I mean, for the benefit of all the residents, I mean, you don't want people, as I always say, it's not Park Plains, it's Park Hills. You really need that snow plow.
That cul-de-sac is the worst of them also. There's a couple here or there parking the cul-de-sacs where they're not supposed
So
to.
I guess it really needs to remain with the discretion of the police officer, looking at the situation, and if you get a call from Dan and he says, hey, I can't plow the street, that car.
That's probably what we'll end up doing,
Yeah.
is we'll confer with him, if it gets to the point where it's just too difficult for him to plow the area, we'll tow the car, if we can't get it
Breckenridge.
moved.
Breckenridge is another one up there. You know, if I get stuck down over the hill.
Where
so-
now?
Breckenridge,
The bottom.
Yeah.
Locust
yeah.
down there. That's, you know, there's streets, Morgan Court. Those are my hot spots, the end of Altavia.
Well, they're all narrow already.
Well, the thing of it is, there's no way out.
Mr.
Or you get hung up, there's no way to get back out. You know, I've had some bad experiences, very bad one on Locust a couple of times. In fact, I've just got to the point, a lot of times I'll just leave that go and go down there next morning with a backhoe because there's so few people who use it. You know, the old backhoe everybody wanted me to get rid of. There it comes in handy, folks.
Mr. Gray.
It bounces off the walls pretty good.
Mr. Gray.
Something needs to be done, because they've talked to me about it, you know, and it's the citizens that, okay, they take the effort, they usually park on the street, they get it off the street. And then here's cars up, further on up, 6 of them, nothing. You know, well, why should I take the effort anymore to do it, if you're not gonna do anything with the ones that are there? You know, either give them a warning or put it, you know, you go by them and nothing, and they're saying, then why should I move my car off the street? And that's the attitude I'm getting from everybody.
I would. in a
You
sense.
either take it fully, or you don't do it at all.
Sarah.
This is why I brought this up, because I really want to make a proposal more than I think it's good for us to get information, but I think it seems pretty clear that it would be good to have a sort of a first-time offender warning, second time, you know, a citation. But of course, if there's something where there's a vehicle parked in a place where it makes it dangerous or like impossible to plow, that's a towing situation. I think we need to be very clear about this so that Chief knows how to direct everyone.
So write an ordinance.
I mean, I think we should look at what's in our code,
Uh-huh.
but I think we also should, you know, have a process or a procedure or something in place that makes sense for.
And I think we do also have to, in considering that, give deference to the people on the scene, which means to the officer who's responding, to the guy behind the plow, and Chief Rigney. I mean, you've got to be able to get through.
Yeah, I mean, just to go with what Dan said, when people don't get off the street, obviously our trucks are quite large and the conditions are bad. You know, it's difficult for us to get through. And, you know, if you remember several years ago, we totaled a car on Jackson Road.
Oh, I do.
Nice.
I do.
Exactly, his truck slid one night, almost hit a car.
And that's the thing, you know, if we slide and somebody's parked on the street when they shouldn't be, all bets are off. We ended up with, you know, our trim was just kind of bent and our car was completely totaled.
Oh, wow.
Jackson's very narrow.
5 tons versus.
Okay, done. Yeah. I like the
Anything
idea of
else?
having, I was just gonna say, I really like the idea of having a procedure. I know we've talked multiple times of like having these alternative parking spaces, parking places. Cause I was looking at it and I was like, St. Joseph Lane, St. Joseph Lane, St. Joseph, like, there's a lot in like one particular street, for example. And having that alternative in different areas, I think is good, but outlining a full procedure, I think is better. Cause then we know each time, this is how it's done, unless it's blocking the street completely, then they need to go.
Right. And I think that's true for everything, really, you know, I think we should be clear about, what, you know, because to me, it seems sort of, I hate to use this word, but a little bit arbitrary in the sense of like, you know, if someone's parked the wrong way, I know somebody who got a ticket on their first, you know, offense, but then sometimes some people just get a warning, so how are we making those decisions? I think we need to be clear with the process.
Just like Mr. Gray said, though, if you start letting people slide, and you don't take action, severe action on the snow emergency, you're gonna have more and more people violating it. So you need to take that into consideration before you decide how you want to proceed on this.
I think our officers already do a pretty good job of warning, ticket, and they avoid towing for the most part, but I
mean,
think
that's an
it has to be, it has to be, so.
Yes. So you just need to think about that, both sides. It's, you know, it's a difficult time and you have to, you know, take action that financially burdens somebody, but at the same time, you have an ordinance and you have a rule and you have a law that you're supposed to abide by.
Well,
So you
yeah,
need to think
ultimately,
about
it's the public safety, I mean, you have to.
So just taking those considerations while you have this discussion, decide what you want to do.
Thank you. Chief Ricketts?
Everybody should have got my normal monthly report for December and then the yearly report for 2025, all the totals are on there. And I have also added just a diagram on the back to show the breakdown of the calls. We're at 40% fire and 60% EMS, so we're actually a little below the average. National average is usually 70% or above for EMS. One of the interesting things, we had 305 calls for last year, and our EMS runs are down by over 50. And I attribute that to the closing of the convent and some of the other properties, so hopefully it stays down, but it can always fluctuate. But
Yeah,
it's low for the last several years.
I think the sale of some of the properties up on Alberta and up back in there.
We're not making nearly the calls up there we used to.
Right, like it used to be.
Yeah, so. But I have
Because
it
when we
broke down.
talked to Fort Wright, they said it was right.
Yeah, and this is important data for those
Yeah.
conversations with Fort Wright, so.
So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Public Works?
Here you, Mayor Zumbrot and Council, again. Thanks for another month, and what a month it was. I think there was a couple of records that were broken, temperature and snowfall for the month of December. I'm gonna go with 11 inches and winter's over. Especially after the weather we had last week, people were walking around in shorts and t-shirts. I was like, it's January.
Dan, that's dangerous talk, you know.
I know.
Jesus.
Either way, it was a fun one, haha, for the first hour, as I always say. And that was just December. Well, spring is coming. With that being said, leaf pickup is officially over for the season. We filled the truck up 11 times, and 46 residents signed up for that service, which is good. But at the same time, those numbers are way low compared to when we first started years ago. A lot of trees have been taken down in the city, and fortunately for the tree board, working with people, residents, to plant back and keep our city looking as beautiful as it does. After all, we are a tree city for over 15 years. And thanks to all who helped make and save Christmas in Park Hills, all the decorating in the park and on city properties, luminary night rescheduling, and the list goes on. once again, I have to give it an A+, very hallmark-like, as I like to say. And thanks to everyone. Just an FYI, the parade committee has not met yet. It won't be long, and as always, we're looking for a grand marshal, so. Anybody have any questions?
I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
And this might, I don't know if the mayor will know about this too, but I was sitting next to somebody at an event yesterday, and she was a member of the Devou Park Board, and she mentioned something about us cutting down trees. Like, is Park Hills looking to cut down any trees near Devou Park? No?
No, we don't usually cut down trees, we plant them.
Oh, I know, but, yeah, I guess.
No, I have no
trees.
knowledge of any trees.
Okay.
The only thing I can think of that she might be referencing, who was it, may I ask?
Oh my gosh, her name is escaping me at the moment.
Okay. Dr. McHale had a big dead tree from Devou Park fall onto his property. And I know that he did call Jason Roberts, and they came and cut it up. and took
Yeah,
it
it was right
away.
across the street,
Yeah, right.
across Breckenridge.
Yeah, right, at the end of Breckenridge, so.
I wonder if that was it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, maybe.
Mother Nature Strikes Again.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I just thought I would ask.
Yeah.
We don't mess with the Devou Park Board, they don't play with it.
They're the big
No, they're
guys.
good
Dan's like
people.
that, thank you.
They're good people.
Thanks, Dan.
Well,
Thank you.
And Jay's not here, but he really didn't have anything new to report. It's the same thing. We're still waiting on the state, KYTC, to get back on our bus stop. And Gateway, we're still waiting on their right-of-way punch list. That was his report. And that's why he said, I really don't have anything new, Kathy. We'll move on to financials. Ms. Julie?
Does anybody want to do a motion first, or?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the financials.
I'll second.
The only thing I really have is, I know we talked last month about that road being paid off. That is not reflected in the budget numbers under the expense. Just because of the way Amanda had to show that, taking it off one end and paying it off. So what I'll do is, when this budget needs to be amended, I will take that expense out of there on both ends of it, so that it'll cancel itself out. Then we have the 202,796 expense in the restricted fund under road, and then we have the
I think it was 188.
the revenue side. Where's that expense at?
It's not on here anymore, since you.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay, so this is already going in there. So what we'll do is I'll amend the,
Because we took 188 is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why that reimbursement is still in there as a budget. But I'll amend that to 02, so it kind of just
Yeah.
cancels itself out, but it does reflect in the balances of both funds. Does anybody have any other questions on the reports?
I have a few little questions.
Okay.
On page 2 of 10, the pilot taxes, which are kind of close to the bottom, did we just get that full amount that we have to distribute? Is that why it's so high there?
Yes, I received every one of them, and I'm still waiting to hear from Mr. Spoor, Robert Spoor, to direct me to, I'm gonna make sure the percentages that I had last time are still the same percentages to disperse the funds to the different entities. So I'm still waiting on him to say, yeah, that's the right formula, and then I'll get those mailed out. So the only thing that will be left in that fund is what the city reaps as far as
And it should be.
city and road and trash.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have that by the end of January. That should be what you'll see next month.
And that should, it should leave us our estimated of 25, that's our.
25 grand or so.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on page 5 of 10, for the police overtime pay, we're at 140%. And I just wondered if we needed to make any adjustments, like
Hire a part-time.
to the, sorry.
Unfortunately, I think
Well,
it's
I mean,
paper
just
now.
delates, but, yeah, but I was just thinking, maybe that's something we need to amend.
I do my amendments usually at the end of the year, just
Yeah.
however you guys want to do it, but if we amend every time something's out of whack, we'll be amending and we'll be paying for publications and.
Yeah, I think that gets messy and confusing too, it gets hard to track.
But that's totally up to you guys. That's not my decision.
So 140% sounds like a really big number, and I am interested to see what Chief Stanley's presenting us on the part-time officer financially. But just for the benefit of everybody listening to that, the budget number was $15,000, so it's a $6,000 increase.
Still,
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, when it's 6,000.
But, I mean, 140% of 15,000 is much different than 140%
Oh,
of
no
a
problem.
million, so.
Yeah. And then my third and last question is just on page 8, this is on the restricted accounts. The portion that's the other current assets, that 6,000 due from other fund, is that part of what you were talking about earlier? Okay.
Yep, I'm still waiting for everything, so when I transfer that, is my understanding though, as far as the pilots, when those come in, was it the decision of council to leave the road funds in that general fund as a pilot?
Leave all the monies
So
in.
the road tax portion of those pilots is not gonna be transferred into
No, it's all gonna stay in the
general fund?
general.
And we're allowed to do that
And-
because,
It's all gonna stay in that pilot line. That's what we had asked for.
so that's what that's
Yeah.
6,500 is.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anybody else?
I had those same questions, so if you had them.
We'll do a roll call, Ms. Sayers?
Yes.
Ms. Freilich?
Yes.
Ms. Spore?
Yes.
And Ms. Cardosi?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention really quickly, when an auditor comes in, it's very disrupting. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of having an auditor work with you. Great job, Julie, because that's hard. It's very, very disrupting
Oh,
to the
it's-
office. And-
Well, actually, they're really, but they're really good. They have me box everything. They take it to their office and actually do it because our space here is so limited and crampy. So, but thank you.
Any committee discussions?
Yes, the park committee met on January 7th. We talked about, nothing too exciting, cleanup from Christmas, which is basically accomplished. The lights that remain out in the park are to be removed by the professional light people that put them out. We talked about prep for spring, which includes tulips have been planted, but as Dan knows, we always put Milorganite down as they start to come up because the deer start eating them right away. Our irrigation will be checked. We did have to make a pretty significant irrigation repair in November. I thought we could delay that till spring, but they couldn't blow out the system and close it until the repair was made, so it's done. We talked about getting through the state, as we do every year, trees to plant in Audubon Preserve. Mr. Darren usually coordinates that effort with Covington Catholic, and we get help in. And we talked about ideas for the celebration of the 250th for the United States. Had some interesting ideas on that, and ideas again for our centennial. And then we talked briefly about budget, and we're going to revisit that in February, maybe even in later January. Just our general budget considerations as, for our basic needs, irrigation, et cetera, things for Trolley Park. Mr. Darren took notes for us, and we will approve those at our next meeting, and they will be published. Any questions?
I have an aside question, not specifically Parks question. Didn't we discuss, and I do not remember what month this was, about forming a committee for the 100th anniversary.
Well, we talked about that, and we thought, you know, we got a lot of committees going on, and people can only do so many meetings. So I'd like to just keep it in the Parks Committee.
That's
and
what I actually
we can
suggested.
expand
Okay.
that to include people if they want to be included, but,
I think we could invite.
and we
people
can
to come to
invite,
that
we can
meeting.
absolutely invite people in, right, I know that one of the things that we discussed, and it's been discussed for a long time, and I mentioned at the meeting, I am going to invite someone in to our next meeting to talk about our historic marker signs. And I would like to see, we have funding for 2 of those. Of course, we got that funding quite a while ago as a part of the settlement for Audubon Preserve with Mr. Burling. So I'm sure prices have gone up on those too, so let's see what we can afford. But I thought I would invite some professionals in to help us with that and see what recommendations they make to us.
I know a while back, you and I actually talked about that
At
quite
length,
extensively. And I know that at that time, we talked about a particular type of sign for Trolley Park, because we knew that Trolley
Right,
Park would be, well,
We talked about that one, I think we agreed that, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt Sarah, please, go ahead.
okay, because I think we talked about the sort of platform style, you know, that has more like photographs and things of that nature for Trolley Park. But then we also discussed for the second sign that we didn't really know what that would be, so we talked about some different ideas. And, you know, I wonder with, and, you know, I mean, maybe this is going out on a limb, but because of the, you know, the loss of the Sisters of Notre Dame building of St. Joseph Heights, I wonder if that would be a good reason for us to, you know, create the other bronze plaque for that building and for that organization. I think that might
To
be.
be placed on Dixie Highway?
Yeah. Because you know, it's historical significance, it's also, you know, 100 years
Beautiful
old
building.
as well.
It was.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that's, I don't, you know, we don't need to make that decision tonight or
It's a
anything,
good
but I
idea.
think it's something worth considering.
I like it.
Sorry, I'm going backwards. Apologies, this will be the last thing I say about this. I love keeping the planning in the Parks Committee, but I would just, and we can discuss this, I'd love to come to one of the meetings, but like making sure, because we had like the town hall idea within the Economic Development Committee meeting. I would love to consider doing something like that to get some public feedback and comment of how we can celebrate the 100 years. I think there's probably, I feel like I know, there are a lot of people in the city with a lot of good ideas and a lot of passion for living here, so I would love to explore the idea of having something like that where people could come and we could
Good idea.
discuss.
I agree with that, and I think, you know, something that's gonna be really well publicized, because
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even know there was a Parks meeting
It's on the
that recently.
calendar.
I know, but it didn't show up
I mean, we need to
online.
get on this if that's what we're gonna do. This is
I know,
July,
yes.
it's May. So
A good time of day.
We were
Yes.
talking in our meeting, time flies, and the ability to get something done, you really gotta kind of focus on it.
Yeah.
The type of sign that we had talked about using at Trolley Park would be about the trolley system around which our city was built. And they're called reader rails, and you see them in state parks. And we just thought that would be a more engaging thing for children who are, you know, put it down at the lower trolley building where they could look at pictures and, you know, a bronze plaque is just not really working for kids. So we thought that type of sign would be better to reflect the discussion of the trolley line.
I agree with you, Emily. Like, maybe that's something we could discuss at the Economic Development Committee meeting at the end of this month.
Sounds good.
No other committees? Well, under old business, get to that, Laura had asked about, she had talked to someone that was considering us for a meeting space at CCH, and I sent that all to you, but just so everyone knows. I did talk to the CCH's assistant principal in using the space, and he said he had called back and let me know, and I think I sent this all to you. He said that the reason they didn't really recommend it. It's not always available. And they have key codes to get in, and which would be, we'd be there, you know, usually an hour before the meeting, and then sometime, you know, it has to clean up and stuff, you know, your TBNK. So the fact that there's other people in the building, and it's a safety for the children, and that was the reason that that they really didn't recommend it after all their parties got together, and he said he was trying, but that just really wasn't good for, he feels like the safety of all the students that came first. That was their first goal. And then, Laura, you brought up the striping, and I took all your notes. And the striping at the bottom of Amsterdam, I think I addressed actually that night, and Dan did remove those. They were talked about in an infrastructure meeting, but never, and Dan just thought he'd go down there and try it, I think, but they never were like
I was thinking
approved by.
more in terms of, I think we said something about Mr. Bear getting involved to see if they could be changed so that it was a little more.
Well, I did ask Jay, and it's really that's not even our area right there. So I had to go through Covington, and I went through the county as well, and Covington didn't feel the need. So that kind of didn't go anywhere. So
I say prayers every time I turn left there.
I know. There is a sign there now about oncoming traffic doesn't stop. And the speed sign, I'm looking at putting, if we get a mobile one, I'm looking at stationary versus a mobile, which I'd rather have a mobile one. That's what we've all talked about, putting that in our upcoming budget. So that's where we're at with that. Any new business?
I have another old business.
Oh, okay.
Given the pending litigation that we have in the filing of the motion to dismiss, I'd like to ask whether council members will receive a briefing on the status of that case and any anticipated costs going forward. Because I think there have been some, some decisions that have been made that we haven't all been included in.
Or if you want status reports, we can give you those, sure.
Do you want to do that in an executive session?
Is that an appropriate use of an executive session?
Sure it is, pending litigation or litigation ongoing.
I think it can be.
It's not.
I think it can be discussed publicly, that too.
Don't disagree.
Okay.
Because I think it's, advisory information in executive session. But my question still stands in general about status and, in terms of the costs going forward. Council will be, that will come to council.
The cost of the litigation?
Just an update so we know what's happening, so we're not
Okay.
always surprised.
I don't know what's allowed to be said and what's not, so.
Well, I can speak with Mr. Mando, who's got the day-to-day control of it, but we can provide status reports and recommended, I guess, potential costs for ongoing litigation, sure.
Thank you.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
I'm just going by what everybody says, so. With the attorney, like what Mr. Mando has said, so.
Well, I guess I'm just accustomed to, like in the past, we've been informed about what's happening, who's being hired, how much, what their pay is, like all the kinds of different information, like is it being paid by insurance or by the city, like simple questions like that.
Yeah. It's not paid by the insurance, so.
Okay.
And our names are on those documents.
That's
so-
correct.
And the reason outside attorney is because Mr. Braun was named also.
I understand.
So that,
I think briefings are important.
well, we'll get those updates.
Yeah, when the city is sued, there's a duty to defend.
And council,
No,
we just
no
want to be
argument there,
informed.
No new business?
I have something that I want to propose, and this is it's not sexy. But I noticed that our procurement policy is maybe a little out of date because the the Kentucky statute amount has changed since when it was enacted back in 2022, from 30,000 to 40,000.
Yes, we've updated that.
Not, I have the most recent version, and it is still going to 30,000.
Right, the procurement policy, but there was another order, that when it was changed, we did another order lifting it, raising it to what the state is.
I'm sorry, maybe I did not see that one. It was done by order? Because these other were done by executive order, so
Yeah,
that's why
I
I focused
have
on.
one from 2022, the executive order that Julie sent me, and it goes to 30,000.
And there's one that went to 40 as well.
Let me double check on that then.
Okay, well, regardless.
Okay.
I was thinking about, like, that's great, if that's been updated, but let's check into that. Also, I do think it would be great if we maybe followed a different procedure. Something that I've just noticed is that sometimes it's hard to find that information, like if you were somebody, you know, a regular citizen who wanted to understand what our policy was, you know, you might not know to say, contact the mayor, contact Julie to find out where our procurement policy is. So I was thinking we might want to look at it, you know, instituting a process for that. I know I'm a process person, but thinking about, you know, maybe putting that together by municipal order and putting something in our code that says that this is how we do that. So I put together, and this is just like a very early stage because I felt like this would be an important thing for us to do. But I put together a little overview for this idea. And so I'm gonna pass this out and pass it around if you want. So the general concept is that, you know, our current procurement policy was adopted by executive order. And I'd like us to consider whether procurement procedures are better maintained through a structure that includes both council adoption and administrative flexibility. So my goal is not to approve new thresholds or rules, but to agree on a process for updating that policy and how it can ultimately be adopted. And so what I've shared with you tonight is really just an idea of how we can do that. It has like 3 small parts to it, but we could have a phased process for how we'll put this together. So start with a discussion, an alignment on structure, draft an updated procurement policy based on current practice and best practices. It might not be that different from what we have, but I think it's a good thing for us to review. And then to draft an ordinance in a municipal order for council consideration to enact it, and then adopt and publish and communicate that out.
I know the last one was McMurtry did, along with Matt Matone, and that came.
Which one is signed by you?
The original.
Okay.
The policy itself, you
The
mean?
procurement policy itself.
Okay. So then that's probably.
The
what
only
it's-
thing we changed is when the state would raise the amount.
Okay.
That's because it was, the procurement policy was done in probably 17 or 18, I believe.
The actual procurement policy?
Yeah.
I think it goes back further than that. One of the difficulties that I think all cities have, but it's something I do think we might want to review, is our codification. Because I think that we've had issues with codification before, and I've complained about them, but, we might want to take a closer look at that and make sure that American Legal is doing what we want them to do, and that the codification is including everything. It does not include, for example, municipal and executive orders.
I don't think it's required though, is it?
It is not required, but it does make it difficult to correlate the two. So I think that does bear a closer look.
I think we've talked about this.
We've talked about it.
So is there another option that would do all of the above?
I don't know of another option that would do that, and I'm not even saying you necessarily want to do it, but when you have an ordinance that's altered by executive order, you don't see that in the codification.
Right.
So it's something to think about.
Was there
Start on that.
Yeah, it's a big topic, so we won't go crazy on that, but it does, I think, we need to take a meeting, maybe a meeting where there's a light agenda and take a closer look
Or a
at this
caucus.
issue. Yeah.
We could talk.
Or a caucus meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is definitely caucus material also.
Yeah.
And this might be a way to kind of help us start that conversation
Yeah.
as well.
I was just asking Mr. Braun, if there's a reason that those aren't codified, the executive orders, is it because they
There's
can
no
be
necessity,
changed?
because the only thing they publish are the municipal ordinances, which are laws of the city. That's all
Okay.
they're
Right.
designed to
Okay.
do. Now, if there's an executive order that changes something, at the year-end review, you're supposed to send them the things that need to be changed. They'll send you back update sheets to verify they're correct, and then they publish them. So there is a follow-up, or should be.
There should be, and I honestly, Mr. Braun, I'm not sure we were ever told that before, so I think it would be good to have a caucus meeting, talk about all those issues, and I just know that, in the case of one of our, when we were considering, our tax code, I found inconsistencies there, and they've since been corrected, but I'd really like us to take a close look at that, in between what was on, in our most recent codification and what should have been, so.
Right, there was an extra O.
Yeah, it was a
Remember
scary
that.
extra O. Not what you want to see in your tax percentage.
Well, I do, Julie does give us all those updates, sometimes even just does it for us, which is really
No,
helpful.
she does,
but
it's
also-
not a Julie issue,
But
it's
I do think that
It's
there might
American
also
League.
be I don't know if this is an attorney issue too, but I think sometimes there's a requirement to review, whether we're compliant with KRS, and, sometimes there are things that, I think there are some rules around those.
Yeah, and I also need to know, I can reach out to them tomorrow, like, if we do change, we have an ordinance regarding procurement, and then how do we incorporate changes to be aware of any of those orders, if that's something I need to make them aware of, because I would just send them the ordinances and didn't really even think about orders and resolutions and executives, because it was never really what they did, but in seeing that, yeah, it does change the ordinances sometimes, and
Yeah, not often necessarily, but sometimes, and so
Yeah,
it's just,
so that's
I think it would be a good
something-
caucus meeting if we.
Well, because the executive order can't really change a law.
orders,
Right.
yeah.
It doesn't.
No, but if your executive order changes like the 30,000 or 40,000,
Correct.
all you want to do is update it, so you just let
Right.
the code service know that that's what they need to do.
Exactly.
And then they change it to that,
See,
and they give you the new replacement dates.
Yeah, so what Mr. Ron is saying, that you're effectively
Right.
correcting your existing ordinance by executive order, but if they're not getting that, then when you look at it, you're not seeing the
Well,
update.
there's nothing in our code currently that I found about procurement. So everything, not in term, if you do a
The
search,
policies.
That wasn't codified, that's not in an ordinance form?
I don't think it is. I think it's purely a policy.
It's a policy.
Well, that.
So that's why.
Yeah, I think that
proposed
needs to be an ordinance form.
I thought this would be an easy sell.
Well,
If I explained it.
And we can, maybe we could roll that into, a broader discussion there.
Yeah, because my understanding, and maybe this is like old fashioned or slightly inaccurate, I don't know, but in terms of like where you find municipal orders and where you find resolutions and where you find executive orders, they're in books, is my understanding, like or in files, like we just keep them on file so Julie can send them if we need them, which she did the other day, very
Well,
quickly.
They're on our website as well.
That's true, but it only goes back to a certain time.
Can you like keyword search that, or is it just?
I've never been able to.
You can keyword search.
Kathy, you said we can keyword
Does-
search, but I,
should be able to.
yeah,
I do it all the time.
yeah, I've not been successful.
Doesn't work for me.
So could we, maybe include this in the future caucus?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm gonna have Julie pull it all out and I'll update you.
great.
So is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Oh,
Yeah, I signed up to speak, but I haven't been called upon
Oh.
When did you sign up?
when I got here.
Okay.
We didn't have you on the, agenda, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
So you're not gonna allow me to speak? Let's do it on Friday.
I don't think it's necessary.
What's that?
Well,
3 minutes. 3 minutes, yeah.
3 minutes.
Okay.
So my name is Dan Woody. I'm actually not a member, or I don't live in Park Hills, but I've had a lot of dealings with Park Hills, unfortunately. I'm gonna hand these around for you guys. And the rest, whoever wants. That's a survey that was done of residents of Park Hills that are a member of the Park Hills Neighborhood Group. Sorry. I can't do that. Sorry, hang on.
Huh?
I want to see that. Sorry. Maybe keep that for myself. This is the one.
Exactly.
Okay.
I get, here, pass it on out. I thought it's just,
I don't know if I handed them, but I got messed up there. Anyway, so there was a survey done, which was of the residents, and it says, do you believe that your mayor, police chief, and city council are acting with transparency, following the Kentucky Open Records, Open Meetings Act, and serving the best interest of the community? 23% said yes, 67% said no, 10% said not sure. There were 55 votes. It's not a lot of people, but it's, but that's a pretty significant finding that I think you guys should take note of. Additionally, I would like to bring up the fact that you guys have given a seat to Chief Stanley, who is not a member of council, at your council meetings. However, you have your other heads of departments sitting in the back of the room.
They don't want to sit up here.
I would ask that Chief Stanley either be moved to the back of the room at future meetings.
excuse me,
or-
I'm the mayor.
Yes.
I've asked people to sit up here. And those who choose to be in the back chose to do that. And those who choose to sit up here chose to sit up here. That has
I-
nothing to do with,
I think it's disrespectful to have one department head.
it's disrespectful, I believe, that you come and you degrade our city and our police department. I've seen posts from you. You live in Cincinnati, and I think maybe you had a beef with one of our officers, but it's very disrespectful for your actions.
Okay, and the last thing I have, and then I'll get out of your hair, is I have a complaint to file against Chief Stanley, which I'll give to you and Chief Stanley, based on an interaction on January 8th, which I have a recording that I can provide you with, that was very inappropriate, and I would ask that you have another agency investigate this, since obviously Chief Stanley can't investigate it for himself. So these are the signed copies here. So I'll give you a signed copy here for Chief Stanley, and I don't know if you want Julie or Dan, but here's a third copy. So, and the other thing I noticed was that after last month's meeting, you guys very promptly took down the video links to all of this year.
Excuse me.
All of last year, yes.
That was at the direction of TBNK. To make it easier, they're at the top. Anybody that's familiar with our website, it used to say video on the side.
Yeah.
At the top, there's a link, takes you directly to their site. Every single meeting's on there. It wasn't done out of.
Okay, well, it was only done
Anything
for,
spiteful.
it was only done for this past year, it wasn't done for the previous years.
Well,
Well, they
we're
changed
having
it.
our whole website updated, so we
Okay, I
have
mean,
no
if there's,
knowledge of what.
if there's a good reason for it, that's fine. I mean, I don't know that it was related, I just can't say that.
Yeah, but I'll leave it.
It just seemed awfully fishy that it was happening right then.
And you said you posted that.
What's that?
And I was gonna reply on your post to that and give the reason I just stopped and then I'll be
Okay.
back right at it. So.
So anyway, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I think we had a motion and a second.
Thank you for coming. So,